What's good, y'all? Elvis here. So if you aren't already aware, this is part 3 of a course that I created on my platform, Barbering, all about setting and raising your price. Originally, I created it for that platform and I was going to be selling courses, but I decided, I don't really think I care about that right now. I'm just going to scrap that, maybe come back to that at some point, but I was going to put up the game on YouTube for free. If you haven't already caught the previous parts, there's a link for 1 and 2 somewhere, or there's a playlist or something. But I appreciate you watching and I hope you enjoy.
But when should you raise your price? A lot of barbers are not going to agree with me about this, but in my experience, it's been 100% true. But take it with a grain of salt. Realistically, if at any point you are cutting more hair than you would like to, you can raise your price. Now, the hard part about that is not necessarily just raising your price. That's easy. You can just tell people, I charge this now. But the hard part is really getting clients into your business that fit that new perception of your value. I would not recommend jumping the gun on raising your price. When is it time to raise your price? It's time to raise your price when you are at a point where you are significantly inconvenienced by being overbooked. Now, what is overbooked? That's going to differ person to person. Let's say I'm cutting 10 heads on a Friday and then like 3 people hit me up for like something after hours. Some people will still take those appointments because they feel like it's worth fitting in more heads. And that's understandable. But you are realistically overbooked when your time is over leveraged. If your supply of haircuts you can do does not meet the demand that people have for your service, that's when you're overbooked. To a lot of barbers, the goal is to be booked. So it's kind of a flex to be overbooked. I don't think it's a flex at all. When you're booked, it sounds like, oh yeah, like, I'm getting to the bag, all that stuff. My business is prospering, I'm getting money, there's cash flow. But realistically, if you're overbooked, you're leaving a lot of money on the table because you can't meet that demand. Like when you're booked, you're low-key just capped at your income. I don't think that's something to flex about. When you become capped at your income like that, and you become overbooked, it's not just, oh, your books are filled and you just make that same amount of money. Of course, that's happening. But what people don't talk about is when you're overbooked, that's not just your books is filled, that's people blowing your phone up to get haircuts that you can't possibly do. And this is why it's very important to have your standard, because if you know exactly how much hair you want to cut, you can't let somebody bully you and be like, oh, you don't want to make no money, and try to influence you to be inconvenient for them. There was a point in time where I was overbooked and debatably underpaid, cutting hair for like $20, and I was booked up 2-3 weeks in advance consistently year round. Like my city's a college town, so it's generally slower in the summer, but I'm still booked out. And it got to a point where I had a bunch of clients that were like, bro, like, I want to get a haircut, but I'm too booked. My book only went out 3 weeks in advance. So people would legitimately have to book their next appointment while they're in the chair, or they will not get another appointment. And that's great for my pockets, but that's not great for my client retention. I'm having to turn away people that are legitimate clients. But when you're actually raising your price, it is very important to understand when you raise your price, you are starting a new business basically. You can expect to lose, I'd say, at least half your clientele. Sometimes it's just price. Like, I know a lot of clients that have the bag big enough to afford whatever they want, but they're stuck on, I don't want to pay more than this for a haircut, and that's fine. But you just got to understand who's at your perception of value. Some people value the money more than the haircut, and they have abundant money, but they just don't value a haircut. Haircuts are like water to me. I can cut my own hair well. I got the best barbers in the city on speed dial. Haircuts don't mean anything to me. I got my locks, you know what I'm saying? It's always covering up the sides. Like I don't value a haircut that much. I might get a haircut like maybe 2-3 times a year. And I just happen to go to my barber because I like to be pampered. I don't want to do it myself. But I don't care about a haircut whatsoever. It's going to be clients that have a similar perception of value where it's just like haircuts just me making my shit shorter. Like I don't understand why I got to pay more when I could be paying the same and getting an adequate or comparable service somewhere else. Understand, don't take that shit personally. That's their own perception of value. That doesn't really say anything about you as a person. They could really rock with you, but don't want to pay more than a certain price. It's back when I was cutting on campus. I was charging $12 for a haircut. And once I actually decided to move off campus because I can't run a business on campus, I raised my price to $15. That's a $3 difference. And keep in mind, I'm right off campus. It's maybe like a 4 to 10 minute walk maximum from where I was. Let's say a 7-minute walk and $3 was more than what some people were willing to pay, so they stopped being my clients. But the people that were left had a higher perception of value of my time and my energy compared to the other people. So I was making more money doing less work, having better interactions with people. But when it comes to raising your price, I'm gonna keep stressing having your own personal standard and standing on that. Because as soon as you fold on your standard, your clients don't respect that standard. They realize they can just talk you into cutting their hair at any time, cutting their hair at whatever price they want to dictate. You know what I mean? One thing that really helped me have a better appreciation for my time was when my little sister came to live with me. So like at the time she was a minor, so I had to do a bunch of like older brother / dad stuff. I had a whole dependent, you feel me? So I legitimately didn't have time and energy past a certain point to cut people's hair. And that also made me realize that I don't care about cutting a bunch of people's hair all day. I care more about the quality of interaction I'm having with people. That's when I got to a level where I wasn't, where my money wasn't my limiting factor, and my time wasn't my limiting factor, but my energy was my limiting factor. It wasn't worth me over leveraging my energy. And then I also was really pressed about the quality of energy exchange I had with people. So right now I currently charge $70 for a haircut and $40 for a shape up. And it's a lot harder to be booked up at this price than it was at a previous price. But my whole business is built around me just being at the top of the resource pyramid where everything is about energy. The people that pay my price now appreciate my energy to a crazy high degree compared to the people paying $15. And the funny thing is, it's like you can't really let a client dictate what your value is or influence that because, you know, it's subjective. But also, I had a few clients I was cutting back then at $12, $15 that, you know, I didn't see them for a long time because, you know, everybody grows up and goes places. But then they came back into my business and they were willing to pay like $100 after hours prices. But it's because we had a certain level of rapport and they appreciated my energy and my time and a bunch of things that went into this craft outside of just the haircut. Now, keep in mind, that's a rare occurrence. 80% of your business is gonna come from 20% of your clients. So most of the people that sit in your chair will not be in your chair for that long, realistically, like grand scheme. But now my business, I might be maximum, I might be booked up 2, maybe 3 days in advance if something's like happening, like some kind of event. But at my price point, I don't want to be that booked up. That's the whole reason I raised my price to this point, because the energy I spend is a lot more valuable than the money people can pay me. So I have to ration out my energy at a certain price point so that I feel adequately compensated for the work and energy that I'm putting in. But another thing that really turns up your perception of value of your own time and your own personal standard is either building complementary skills or just picking up other things to do that you care about. If there's things that you are drawn to that are energy investments that add to the quality of your life, all those things are things that you should take into account when you're trying to ration out your time and your energy. Like my sister lives with me again now, but she's not a minor, so it's like she's less of a dependent. Still costs me money, time, and energy, but it's less of a drain on me now. But things that increase the perception of value of my time to other people are, let's say, content. People see the effort that I put into my craft, and that inflates my perception of value. That makes them think my time and energy is worth it. Like me growing my wealth consciousness, me investing into my business, me investing into my specific craft. All these things are things that increase my value to myself as well as to prospective clients. So there's a lot of people that come into my business now because they see like, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. He's not just a barber. Like nobody's just a barber. But if people only value your haircut, they see you as a means of getting that one specific thing. So they're going to look at you as a barber. But if you're a person that is bigger than just providing a haircut for somebody, my clients understand that I'm investing energy into them. But also, you know, they're all people I really like, so I'm happy to. Like with my product of the haircut, I peep that people don't pay me for a hair to look a very specific way, they pay me for my best effort. And that means like when I'm cutting people's hair, if I see a little thing that I want to touch, I'm going to ask them about that. Hey, do you want me to get your mustache? Hey, you want me to get under here? Hey, there's the thing over here. Do you want me to taper this and blend it to that? Like if people are asking me like a bare minimum, like, oh, I want to taper in a line, I'm like, okay, well, do you mind if I get some strays off the top with some shears? Or it's like they peep that I am putting everything on the table as far as trying to make this the best possible service that I can do. And realistically, barbers understand that you can't do 100% on every cut. Like, you can try, but realistically, you might get some 95s here, you might get some 80s sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But people pay me for my best effort, and that has become something that's integral to my brand. People know when they recommend somebody as a client, Elba's gonna try his best. He's not gonna be sitting here half-assing on a haircut, politicking with so-and-so, not focused on this. They know that I'm gonna give all my time and attention to trying to get this haircut the best possible. And that's not even just into cutting hair. The most important part is the client consultation. Like, I've tried to be my own ideal barber, and all my clients and customers appreciate that, but that really keeps the people that would be my ideal clients, because they can't get this level of effort and energy somewhere else. And even if they get a similar level of effort from somebody, they can't get my specific energy and the things that I specifically put into my craft, like my special sauce. That's all part of setting your standard, and your standard is what really builds the brand. Like, that's what your brand stands on. So now I have after hours pricing. And every now and then, I don't mind staying a little later, and I'm not going front. Sometimes I don't even charge my homies extra. Like, man, come on. Like, I enjoy what I do, and I don't feel over leveraged. So it allows me the freedom to just, hey, you know what? I could throw somebody in. I could throw a cut in here. I could throw a cut in there, because I'm not chronically overbooked. I'm not overworking myself all the time. I have time and energy that I can play with how I want to. But my whole business was built around trying to grow this level of sovereignty. I wanted this to be on my terms. Once you're trying to put it on your clients' terms, you start to lose power over your business. And your clients, and even if your clients love you, they're not gonna want you to charge them more than what they're paying. Everybody wants to conserve their resources. It's just human nature. The clients that really value your service, they're going to be willing to pay more. And more often than not, they're already tipping, and they're the ones that are telling you, like, hey bro, raise your price. Especially because clients that value you a lot more than your other clients tend to get annoyed when you're booked up, realistically. Like, they love to see it, you know what I'm saying? They're here for the journey, they're here for the growth, but they want to get their haircut. Like, online, it's a big thing about just complaining about how much barbers charge or whatever. And that's always funny to me, because I realize that at every level you're at, there's a relevant level of value for you. Let's say if people can't afford to shop at like Harris Teeter or Publix, they tend to go to Food Line, or like whatever your local slightly more discount grocery store is not necessarily inferior. It just meets a certain level of value for certain people. The stuff I eat tend to be a little bit more high-end, organic kind of stuff. So Food Line doesn't have as many options for me. So, but my perception of value for the food that I eat is a lot higher than what Food Line is trying to provide for most people. I just understand I'm not their target demographic. I would just go get my value where I get it. I wouldn't sit here complain about Food Line. And then somebody who, let's say, is on the other end, that their perception of value for grocery shopping is at Food Line or at whatever cheaper store. They just go to Food Line. They don't sit here and bitch and moan on the internet about, oh, Publix charged this and Harris Teeter charged this. You feel me? If you want to go to McDonald's, you don't go to McDonald's and complain about Chick-fil-A. I think it's really funny when people like do that, because realistically, there's more than enough barbers out here at every level of value. I guess I'm really annoyed because I have a very solution-oriented perspective. I don't understand the purpose in complaining about money that never was touching your account. I think it's weird when barbers brag about being cheap. And barbers use the rationale of, oh, I don't want to beat my clients over the head with the price or blah, 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 blah. And they like to say, it should be about the love and blah, 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 blah. To me, that's a very disingenuous argument, because I'm a person that loves this enough to do it for free. But I got bills to pay, and my bills are my responsibility. You're not doing clients that much of a favor by cheating yourself out of more money, especially if people are willing to pay you because they see the value in what you're doing. Most barbers are just going out of their way to get the wrong clients or the wrong customers, in my opinion. Like, once I started having more responsibility and more dependence to take care of, I couldn't just put it on my client's goodwill to make me more money. Ultimately, my business has to be run and dictated by me. I can't just go off the assumed goodwill of a bunch of people. I can understand someone's pockets being a little bit low for a haircut, and them ideally wanting their barber to stay at a lower price point. because it saves them money. Everybody wants to prioritize their own convenience. But as a barber, if the roles were somewhat reversed and you were short on money that you needed for your rent or your utilities, it's a bad look if you inconvenience your client and make your money problem their money problem. Do you get what I'm saying? For every different level of your perception of value, there's a level of value for you to be able to appreciate. People don't go to Chick-fil-A asking about McDonald's prices. Just because a client doesn't want to spend more money with you doesn't mean that they're against spending money with somebody else, more money with them. There's many times where I recommend a client that can't get into my chair to a barber I know. I raised my price about a month and some change ago. And there was a lot of clients that just weren't within my price range anymore. I don't feel any possession over any of my clients. It's all positive, mutual. If not love, it's good rapport. So it's nothing for me to just send one of my clients to a barber I know who can do the service at my level, if not better, but more often than not, they have a lower price. The barber I might send them to might charge like $20 to $30 cheaper, or maybe like half my price or something. So my price recently went up $20. And the person I'm sending them to might charge less than my old price, but that client generally is gonna pay what the barber asked for, and maybe a little bit of a tip depending on how he feels. Because clients tend to judge your value off the cues that you give. If you set your standard and you believe your price is, let's say, $50, most clients or customers that come in, even if they don't come in the second time, they're gonna respect the price at that level. They're just gonna go off of your cue. And the funny thing about price is everybody has their own idea of how price correlates to quality, because everybody's value is different. So sometimes I might send a client to a barber who charges a lot less because they're more concerned about price, but they end up wanting to come back to me even if the cuts are damn near similar, just because of sometimes my interaction with the clients. But people tend to generally believe the idea that a higher price comes with higher quality, which is more often than not true. But when you're at a point where you're charging above about, let's say, $30 for a haircut, the difference in quality is kind of negligible, to be real, because it all depends on what the client values. Sometimes I have clients come in, pay after hours price for what I consider a glorified shape up, but the value that they appreciate is the interaction with me. It's the energy. The energy change is high quality, and that's what they're paying for. But those tend to be clients that are at the top of the resource pyramid. Clients that have a limited amount of money tend to prioritize that. But people that are willing to pay a higher ticket price for their haircuts tend to be in the stage either their time is limited or their energy is limited. And to even attract those kind of clients, I have to rise above the level where money is my limiting factor. And that gets a little bit deeper, because you can only really stand on your standard when you're not in a scarcity mentality, when you're not afraid to turn somebody away for a little bit of money because you understand the value of what you provide and the money that you really have access to turning this person away. Like the process I go through every time I'm about to raise my price, I really blow up my availability. Like I become super, super available. I start really marketing kind of heavy for like a month and some change. Beforehand, I let people know like, oh, in a month I'm about to raise my price. And of course, that increased the traffic a little bit because people realize, oh, this is one of the last few times I'm going to get this haircut at this price. But once I get to the point where I change my price, I yank my availability back and I shrink my schedule. And I can only do that because I built my clientele to a point where I'm always passively advertising on Instagram, whether I'm posting or not, because it's a catalog up there. So it's always getting some level of traffic from potential clients. I've grown a quality clientele big enough to where it can survive that smooth dip that comes from raising your price. But also understand, when you raise your price, half your clients probably gonna leave, but the half that stays is gonna attract similar people. So you're gonna meet a lot of new people at this new price level that might not have did business with you before because you weren't on their radar as far as price, as far as quality. And some people just like the exclusivity of paying an expensive price for a haircut because people appreciate premium service. And it's important to understand the kind of services that you want to provide and scale that way, rather than trying to, like sometimes a lot of barbers will just start adding a bunch of add-on services to inflate the arbitrary value of it. But a lot of clients don't care about that. Now, if that's something you really want to do, you can build a clientele around that. But it's hard to sell add-on services to people that just want a haircut or just value the interaction. I went out of my way to learn, let's say, facials and a bunch of spa services and all that. But when it came to my personal satisfaction of doing it, I don't have fun with it. So I decided I wanted to just specialize in the haircut. All the things I offer is just a shampoo, a cut, and like beard and then enhancement and stuff like that. I keep it very, very simple, bare bones. But the clients that sit in my chair don't really care for all the extra. Like, I guess some of them would appreciate if it was there, but I really don't appreciate doing it. So it's not worth a possible upcharge. But then another thing, when it comes to like that way I set my price, is I have a flat rate for haircuts. Like, regardless if you want facial hair or not, it's the same price. Regardless if you want enhancement or not, the same price. Regardless if you want a razor or not, it's the same price. Because I made my minimum viable product something that I really want to take pride in. I don't want to have to upsell people on things that they really want. There was a point in time where I had, like, let's say my price for fades was this, and then like, let's say my price for fades might have been like 15, and then like my price for tapers might have been like 12 or some shit, or just there was different tiers of with the services I was doing. And the thing I realized about that is that tends to, when you give people a bunch of options like that, they get analysis paralysis. Generally, some people might know exactly what they want. Once you start having all these different levels of pricings for very similar services, clients don't want to have to pick from that many options. They want you to provide the best options for them, or what they're looking for, because you're the expert. You feel me? There's a lot of times where I was cutting somebody, like let's say cutting somebody when I was in college, and my prices for tapers and fades were different. And there would be many times I'm about to do a taper on somebody, and they're like, I think I want to fade, but they don't want to pay extra money just because, you know, they're in a consciousness of trying to conserve money. You have to think about that. Like, every human wants to save their resources unless they value whatever they're exchanging for the resource more than the resource. Most of my clients value my work more than what I charge because they tip on top of my inflated price now. So I know if I was to go up again, they would stick with me. But of course, you don't want to be upping your price all willy-nilly, because it shows a level of inconsistency, and a lot of times people associate raising your price with you being greedy. Like, even though just from a barber perspective, it doesn't make that sense to cap your income to make other people feel good, because you legitimately can't worry too much about other people's problems. Like, there's so many times where somebody came into a barbershop wearing like $600 shoes, tripping about a $30 haircut. Obviously, their priorities of how they want to spend their money is very different. There's people that spend like $40 to get high for a weekend, but don't want to spend $30 on a haircut that'll keep them fresh for a week or two. So when you're setting your prices, it's important to understand like your target demographic and what they value. Because, you know, I like cutting frequently, but I don't like cutting people weekly personally. So when I had a lower price, people would just come weekly, and it was more work I was doing. But I don't even like cutting somebody every week because it doesn't feel satisfying to me. I don't feel like I'm doing any real work. I'm just kind of cleaning something up. In my business, I care about creatively getting in there and doing something. I like when the hair really grows out and now I have a fresh canvas. I get a lot more satisfaction out of my work doing stuff like that. Now my price is a lot more attractive to people that want a haircut once in a while. Like, most of my clients come maybe once or twice a month, rather than a bunch of people that were coming weekly because I was very affordable. And people tend to get haircuts off something as simple as like, I just need a pick-me-up. You know what I'm saying? I'm just blessed that I'm around people that consider my pick-me-up, like my little haircut pick-me-up, as valuable enough to exchange $70+ for. A lot of other people don't look at it at that price. But if I was trying to cater to those people, I never would get to where I needed to get to. I had a homeboy in college. When I went from $12 to $15, he said, bro, man, nobody gonna pay that. Imagine if I listened to that man. Where would I be? Not here. And no shade to him, but I don't know where he's at. You can't let other people's opinion of your business have more leverage over your business than your opinion does. Because if you crash out and you can't cut hair, they'll just go to another barber. Most people that sit in your chair are going to care more about the service or the specific haircut than they care about you. A lot of them are not going to check on you if something happens, but they going to blow your phone up if they need a haircut for whatever event. You have to learn to prioritize yourself before you can prioritize other people. Like, and another thing about like raising your price frees up so much of your time. I make more money now, but I think the best thing about raising your price is you have more free energy to utilize throughout the day. The most exhausting thing for me now, even on my max, when I was like, used to be cutting like maybe 10 hours a day. The most draining thing for me wasn't even physically standing. It was just having that many interactions with people. And now I'm in a place where, like, if I wanted to cut 12 hours a day, I could. But I don't want to talk to that many people. And because I have a lot of other things siphoning off my time and my energy, like other things I prioritize in life, whether it be hobbies, responsibilities, or any like other business ventures, it forces me to have a higher appreciation of the time I do spend. And like this barbering thing is an infinite game. Like you're never actually done. You never get to the top necessarily. It's just, this thing just transforms to fit you as you evolve as a individual. And because I've accumulated this amount of leverage and this amount of value within my business, it gives me the freedom to actually cut hair for free when I want to, because I love people. Like my little homies, they will never have to pay for a haircut ever again. Not for me, but the only reason I'm able to do that is because I have freed up a lot of my financial responsibilities through structuring my business this way. And now if I want to do a free cut, I want to bless somebody, it's whatever. I don't have to think in the back of my mind like, damn bro, like I'm not making money off this. I got this bill to pay. Low key, the more money you make, the more expensive your bills get. So, I mean, I be having that thought sometimes because you can never have enough money, but it's a lot different going through your business on a day-to-day when you don't have that pressure on you. Each haircut really matters as far as getting this bill paid. That's a very stressful existence. You don't have to make your business all about making money, but you ideally want to structure your business so it's not a liability with your time, energy, and money. Because if you set barbering as your base lifestyle, you have a lot of freedom to like use it as a financial vehicle to go make money, to spend it on other things you can invest your time and energy and money on. It will give you other returns. All my arts and crafts and content and all this stuff is all funded by cutting hair. And all my other little business ventures and other things I'm getting into, it all stemmed from cutting hair. But that's only because I structured my business up to be a significant stream of income by raising my price accordingly. It opens up so many more avenues for me. But if you're just cutting hair and you don't want to and you're not necessarily trying to use your money to go fund a bunch of other things, make sure you're throwing it back into your business. Because the main reason that my clients I've been cutting, a lot of these dudes I've been cutting for like 6 years now, that has stayed with my business through all the price raises, is because they see me this entire time investing into my craft. They see me invest into my space. They see me invest into products. They see me invest into education. Like every time they talk to me, I'm low-key got a new thing that I'm adding to my sauce. So they see that I'm a resource that's evolving and growing in value over time. So they feel like, oh well, over time, I want to spend more money with this man. The more value that is still within myself, the more value I can share with the people I'm around. And then everybody that sits in my chair is somebody who has some entrepreneurial spirit about them. And being an entrepreneur is just being creative financially. Like you can have a job and be an entrepreneur, but it's just you've opened your mind up to get money and see value in a bunch of different areas. And that's something I've done, and that rubs off on my clients. A lot of my clients are like that, and it rubs off on me in very specific ways. It's iron sharpening iron. They're adding ingredients to my sauce. I'm adding shit to theirs. Just to touch over it again, raising your price all comes down to building leverage within your business, understanding perception of value for you and your clients, and then setting a standard for yourself accordingly. I really appreciate y'all tuning in for this online course. I'm going to be making more courses about the nuances of actually growing your business financially, but on sometimes some level of a metaphysical too, because I think that is debatably more important. I realize that anytime I've had like, let's say, a problem or a deficiency when it comes to, let's say, my mental health, physical health, financial health, it always stemmed from a spiritual issue first. There's something within me I had to straighten out before I could ever hold on to money for real, because I was throwing money into the pit. Because a lot of people have some type of vice or some type of like internal deficiency they feel, and that's where all their money goes. That's where all their time and energy goes. So once you plug that hole and figure out where that is, and you start to do your own healing, it'll be nothing to grow your mentality. It'll be nothing to grow like every aspect of your life. Raising your price all comes down to developing yourself in the ways that you find valuable and relevant. All right, but that's all I got for today. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I will be dropping more classes soon. Make sure you stay tuned. I appreciate y'all watching. But till next time, Craft of a Clout, I'm out.